This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? You're listening to the MBSP Live from the Bulldog Radio Studios. Myself, Brandon Worth, alongside my partner, Joe Nagy, and we got a banger of an episode for you today. Lots to cover in the Ferris State sports world, including some tennis sweeps over the weekend. We got an awesome interview with senior tennis player Josh McDermott that you're not going to want to miss, as well as some big news in Detroit sports, as well as the MB3 makes the returns. Me and Joe are finally going to debate uniforms, and it is going to be epic. But make sure that you check out this episode and subscribe to all of our platforms, both on social media and also all of our lovely platforms like YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. But without further ado, let's send you to the interview with Josh McDermott.
Now joining us in studio, Josh McDermott, senior on the Ferris State Tennis team. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going? Great to be here.
Might be a little bit different since he's from New Zealand, got a nice accent to him as well. But
love it.
Josh, you're a transfer from University of Missouri, Kansas City, which I don't think a lot of people know about. What was that process like to not only transfer portal to Ferris State, but also like go from New Zealand to Missouri and like that type of stuff?
So it's a pretty big jump, coming from New Zealand. I had an agent that I worked with back in New Zealand. He deals with a lot of different sports in the country. Shout out Platform Sports Management. But yeah, they helped me out, got me over. A great thing, they have with that deal is that if you're looking to transfer, they'll help you out too. So when it came to transferring, I got in touch with my guy, and he got me on I got on the portal, and yeah, he got it started. And within like a week, I was pretty much already in touch with Coach Doran. So that was great, and we headed off straight away on the first call, and I was pretty much ready.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you guys have had huge success under Coach Doran as well. And I mean, you and Ben obviously have been killing it in doubles. Just talk about like the development you guys have had as a team overall throughout your whole 2 years together, and even especially this year in your final season.
So especially in this past year and a half, our team has had great growth. That first year, I think it was the 2019-20 year, was a little bit of a rough year with COVID. Obviously there were some injuries that happened, but yeah, moving on from that next year, we got some new recruits, Jan and Ben. Yeah, that was huge for our team. And we also sort of matured a little, and we just have a great team culture and work ethic now. So it's, a great foundation to build on.
For sure. And being from New Zealand, like obviously not being home and stuff, and there's a big difference in cultures between America and New Zealand. Like, what are some things that you miss about back home, but what are some things that like you like about America?
So it's probably the main thing I miss about home is definitely the food. There's some things here I love about the food, such as, barbecue and all that type of stuff, burgers. But yeah, back home we have great food. So I miss that. I miss my friends and family. I haven't been home in 2.5 years, so it's pretty tough. Looking to go back soon, but yeah.
What's your favorite meal back home?
Favorite meal is probably going to be a steak pie. So it's like a savory pie, because I know over here they do
like shepherd's pie kind of?
It's kind of like a shepherd's pie. Yeah, it's like a steak, and it'll be like gravy and stuff. It's really good. Yeah,
oh, man.
I highly recommend. So
I'm getting hungry now just thinking about it. It sounds delicious. I also know that back in high school, back in Queenstown, New Zealand, I heard you ran track. Is this true? And what events did you run?
That's correct. I did run track. I did a lot of cross country when I was younger too. But so I ran the 3,000 meters and the 1,500 meters. I usually won the high school sort of track meets, and then I'd go on to the regionals. Won the regionals for the 3,000 meters a couple of times. And then I had South Islands. I think I placed 5th in the 3,000 meters. And my time, I think nationally was pretty decent, but yeah, not quite there. Just didn't put in enough training in the end. But yeah, it's more focused on tennis.
Track star, tennis star, he can do it all.
Yeah,
Mad
he can
respect.
do everything. He can do everything. And like, for tennis, like it seems like it's not a superstitious sport or anything, but like, I mean, Rafael Nadal has some crazy superstitions. I think Novak Djokovic has some pretty crazy superstitions. Do you have any that like kind of stick out to you that you have to do, or does anybody on the team kind of have some crazy ones?
So I don't really have any crazy superstitions. I know obviously like on the pro tour, some of the guys have some, they have their own superstitions, but on our team, I'd say Yannick, he has his little superstitions with his drink bottles. I don't know if you guys can come and watch, but he will always make sure they're lined up, kind of like Nadal does, facing a certain direction. He's very particular with that. Like him, he's where he sits, he's particular with that too. Jan, he's super superstitious about his rackets and tensions. He'll have a different racket for a different game, different let's say temperatures and stuff. So,
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't. For the most part, by myself, I might have some things I do, but I'm not 100% aware of them. So,
Show up and play.
yeah,
Dominate,
just show up and
about.
play. That's my style. Yeah.
Hey, that's
Respect.
That's the most
Yeah.
consistent style, right?
Oh, for
Nothing
sure.
else you can do about
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
obviously now being here in the later parts of March, I mean, obviously you guys have had a great indoor season. Now looking to probably go outside, especially over your guys' games over spring break. What's been the big difference of transition of playing inside a lot faster, comparably to now going in outdoors, which a lot of people say is a lot slower?
Yeah. So I know myself and maybe Ben, we both love playing outdoors a lot more than indoors. Our style of game is a little more suited to that. But yeah, we just got to get outside hopefully soon so we can start practicing, getting ready for outdoors. The Florida trip was huge in terms of getting us ready too, because last year we were indoors the whole time and then it was straight to outdoors for GLIAC. And, we persevered at the start, but I think when we came up against Southwest Baptist, it sort of hurt us that we didn't have more matches outside against some good teams. So, yeah, Florida has definitely helped us.
For sure. And I mean, opening up GLIAC play against Grand Valley, there's some really great energy both on the court with the players, but also the fans as well got into it as well. Like, what was that kind of? Do you find yourself feeding off that energy much, or are you kind of more locked in when you're playing?
Yeah, I'd say I definitely feed off their energy. It's great when the fans are getting really loud and getting into it, and especially like our teammates when we're on court. I definitely feed off, the players next door to me. That pumps me up too,
Yeah.
especially if you might be going through a rough patch. So it's good to also get loud yourself so you can pump the others up. And yeah, it's a Grand Valley versus Ferris match. It's always going to be pretty lit. So
It's anchor bone right there.
Yeah,
Anchor
exactly,
bone, baby.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, you guys have been together as a team for a while now. The camaraderie that I've noticed being at matches, both men's and women's, has been really awesome to see. Talk about the team's culture, especially with your growth, not only on the court, but even off as well.
So yeah, we have a great team culture. These guys are like my best friends. I hang out with them all the time, on and off court. My old school was more, we were great friends, but I wasn't hanging out with them every day type of thing. So it's great here. We have a great culture. We like to have fun, but we're also responsible at the same time, and we really like to work hard and we're at practice. And yeah, we have a great understanding for how our team works and what we want to achieve. So it's a big thing.
For sure. And last week took on some greatly improved teams with Lake State and Michigan Tech. What was that kind of like going into practice? You knew that they were a little bit more improved, especially knowing that after this game, it was kind of going to be mostly road games.
Yeah, so props to Lake State and Michigan Tech. They've definitely improved since last year. From that's how I feel. Coach, definitely told us in practice to we can't be overlooking these teams, and then we got to keep doing what we do, practice just as hard as we usually do, and just get out there and get the job done. We shouldn't overlook any opponents really. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys now, especially with the senior day festivities, which was really awesome to see, now going to a little bit of a road stretch here. How does that change the mindset kind of going into this next month of April, where you're going to be on the road for 3, 4, 5 matches in a row?
Yeah, so it's tough that we're not going to have any more home matches, but I think we're all locked and loaded. We're ready. We're hungry to get out there and play. So I don't think we'll be affected too much. We just have to be smart, rest and recover, and just get out there and practice. And yeah.
And Brandon and I, we've seen Coach Doran at the matches and stuff, being able to kind of experience with him, talk with him a little bit. What's he like as a coach, kind of after the matches, in practice, and kind of when you guys aren't in that tennis realm?
Yeah, so we have a great relationship with Coach. He is a lot of respect for all of us. We have a lot of respect for him. Just a great guy. And yeah, I'd say he's probably the same as when he's engaging those spectators as he is off the court and sort of at practice. He's still the same guy, just very happy, always positive and cheering us up. But he can also be serious when he has to be. He does a great job at practice, motivating us and getting us ready for our matches. So. And yeah, he's always there to talk to if you ever need anything. So just, he has a lot of qualities that you'd want in a coach.
Coach of the year for a reason, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Coach of the year for a reason. And one thing, obviously, a lot of people may not know about tennis is, I mean, really one of the most cultural, diverse sports we have here at Ferris State. A lot of you guys are international. You mentioned Jan, who's from Sweden, yourself, obviously, from New Zealand. Kind of talk about how you guys all kind of come together here at Ferris State and have kind of this huge, diverse culture of team overall.
Yeah, so I really love that. We have a great diverse team. We got guys from all over the world, and it's brings a lot of different perspectives and opinions. So it's great. It was the same at my old school, University of Missouri, Kansas City. All my teammates were international. We had like 2 American guys. But yeah, I think it's also cool for the American guys here, to meet a bunch of other people from around the world.
For sure.
But yeah.
And Davenport and Purdue Northwest coming up this weekend. Davenport has cracked the top 25 for the first time in their program history this season. What's kind of been the team's mantra so far working this week to be able to prepare for those great teams that are coming up on the road?
Yeah, so Davenport's had a great season so far. They had a great win against, I think, a 20th ranked team, might have been 21st in Florida. The record's been pretty good, but, we're, like I said earlier in this interview, we're super motivated. We know what we have to do. It's been the same the entire season, same as last year. We get in, get the job done, and work hard, and just fight hard, So
for sure,
yeah. As long as we do that and just stay focused, we'll
play hard.
Rest is history.
Oh yeah.
Let it do what it do for sure. But Josh, we appreciate you having on the show. Obviously, one last question for you. We ask every athlete coming on to the show this question: what is your favorite thing about being a Ferris State Bulldog?
Yeah, so I definitely have to say it's the winning culture we have here at Ferris. All the teams are very successful. I feel like every team loves to fight and just push themselves. That's what it is, the winning culture, yeah.
Yeah, not every school has like a national championship football team and then, multiple teams who are winning the GLIAC every year and almost every year it seems like. So that's usually a reoccurring answer is just how well the Ferris State Bulldog program has just been able to really find success. But Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your week, and good luck this weekend against Davenport and Purdue Northwest.
Hey, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Hopping right on into the Ferris State Sports Report we go, starting with tennis. And boy, it is a great time to be a janitor, Joe, right?
Yeah, you got to grab the brooms out almost every week, basically.
Get the brooms out. A clean sweep for men and women over the weekend against Michigan Tech and Lake Superior State. And, I mean, it was really fabulous play from both sides. And, obviously, we had the Senior Day festivities on Saturday. And congrats to the seniors for winning their Senior Day game and all they have done for the program. We can't wait to see how they finish out their careers this year. And, I mean, really a good exclamation point against 2 tough GLIAC opponents. The men getting a dominating win against Tech 6-1, and then I believe Lake State was also 6-1. So that's a huge boost for them. And then the women coming with 2 big, close, clutch wins in 4-3 fashion, including the 1 point coming from doubles. And that is what we've been talking about on the show so much, is how crucial that doubles point has been. And really, that's the reason that we came out on top in both matches. It just shows how important it is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the one thing too for the men's side is like talking to Coach Doran and kind of seeing his like post-game interviews and stuff. Like both of these teams, especially with Lake State and Michigan Tech, like they've improved so much over these past couple of years. Lake State was a kind of a team where it's kind of like a pushover where you definitely don't want to go in kind of expecting too much, but you knew that it was most likely going to be a W going into the column. And Michigan Tech was kind of the same thing too, but especially on the men's side, they started to battle back a little bit. I mean, Matisse had to face off against a freshman, and when that kind of comes up on the stat sheet, when a senior is going to go up against freshmen, and especially in number 1 singles, you're like, okay, well, Matisse is going to roll this guy, but he was actually kind of struggling a little bit, especially with kind of receiving some serves and stuff like that. So there was some really solid play from the Huskies on both sides, especially men's and women's. But it was crazy to see it on the women's side, it coming down to the wire and getting that win to be able to push them over, especially being a senior and stuff, and bouncing in a lineup. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at all the matchups and the stats from this weekend, and you see a lot of great things. You see a lot of dominating scores. Obviously, for the men's side, the 6-1 takes care of that right out of the gate. But I mean, we're playing really, really solid in doubles, and we've been keeping that roll all year. I mean, getting 2-1 against Lake State. We fell in the ones match, but hey, that happens. Like I said, that there was one matchup. Some of those younger guys for Lake State played really tough, and that was something that they kind of played a little bit over the expectation going in, as you just mentioned, Joe, but still able to clean up 5-1 overall in doubles matches across the weekend, and only losing 2 singles matches. And I mean, both of those matches came in at least 3 sets. One of them actually pretty much took 2 extra points in sets early on, and in the third set I'm going up to 22 points. So that just shows you how intense that matchup and back and forth was going. I'm sure people's eyes hurt after watching that one back and forth so much, but maybe need a chiropractor for the neck or anything. But hey, I'm pretty sure that's what they make the balcony for. So it takes a little bit of that stress off, you know. You got to use get a chiropractor every time you watch tennis. But still great overall from the men. And I mean, obviously being able to take care of the business from the top down in singles has been fantastic. And I mean, we look forward to going that as well. And on the women, they're really finding ways to win, and that's certainly what you want at this part of the season with all these conference junctures. And you look at a lot of these matchups, and they're decided in 2-3 sets, playing extra time and being able to stay tough, stay mentally focused and strong throughout the whole way has been a key to the success. Because I mean, those are going to be the moments when we get into conference championships and even possibly in regional national matchups where everybody's going to be good, and you're going to have to play through 3 sets almost every single game.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with getting these 2 wins, it's going to be pretty solid, especially when we have to make almost a 3-week road trip for these next couple of weekends coming up. Like you have like Davenport, Purdue Northwest, and a couple more that are going to be pretty long road trips, I guess. And they're not going to be out of the state of Michigan too much, but it's still going to be tough to be able to go to other places and try to keep up that momentum and keep up that energy. But, you know, especially with Davenport, like for the men's side, Davenport's, I think, in the top 20 for the first time in their school history. So that's going to be a really tough matchup for the men's side to be able to go in, especially going into Davenport and kind of, you know, trying to set the tone there. It's going to be really tough, but I think the boys got it, and the women are going to be able to do much of the same, especially seeing that we're on a little bit of a roll. We're kind of starting to pick it up a little bit and find our stride. So
yeah, absolutely. Sam Stevenson, Sophie DeVita picking up the sweep and doubles, and Sophie also getting both wins and singles. She's been playing on fire right now, as well as a lot of the other players as well, getting at least one or multiple wins and a winning record overall throughout the 2 games. But I think the one thing you can notice from that too is each game somebody else new is stepping up, which you need in such a depth-minded team. And I mean, you obviously have one of your star players out already in the season. Who's going to step up? And we've already seen somebody at least step up in one of these matches each and every game. So that's super important when you go into, especially in conference matchups where you're going to have those where there's somebody's going to play out of their mind and beat you, but can somebody else step up, use that momentum that you can get from the crowd, because they get pretty amped up when there's some of these longer points in these longer matches, that it just shows how much more important it is. And when you have somebody that feeds off of that and then can do their part and maybe take down somebody that they're on paper not supposed to beat, it just goes both ways. And I mean, for this team, that's certainly going to be needed. And right now we're seeing it already. And I mean, that's nothing but positives looking down the road.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that you can really look forward to. I mean, as a coach too, for Coach Doran, seeing that like people are starting to pick it up, and it's a good spot too, being middle of the season. It's a good midseason test for these 2 teams, and to see that, you know, it's still going to be a lot more tests to come. Seeing that we got Eastern Michigan, the D1 team coming up, that one's going to be a tough one for both sides. And, you know, kind of giving it a good solid little breakup from the GLIAC stuff, but still it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it goes, especially since we're not going to be returning home till late April when we play Saginaw Valley. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild schedule ahead. Like Joe mentioned earlier, we got the GLIAC matchups coming up at Davenport coming up Friday, April 1st, and then Purdue Northwest will be on deck on Saturday. Both of those are going to be away, so you can follow along online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. For the live stream, you can check out, I believe, their Ferris State Tennis Facebook page may have a live stream on there. Not totally sure. They usually do for home games, but maybe you never know. you can check that out, but also follow all the information there about the tennis team. But moving on over now, softball was actually not in action. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans this week to suspend both Wayne State and Saginaw Valley State games. So not much to cover from there, except, Mother Nature can be a thorn in your side sometimes, man.
Yeah, Mother Nature kind of sucks when it comes to trying to schedule stuff, especially in March when Michigan is known for literally switching up. I mean, last week we had, a 60 or 70 degree day, and today is, 19 when I woke up this morning. So it's definitely crazy to see, like, the amount of difference. You can never, like, depend on it, which kind of stinks for these teams that are kind of coming in late in the year and have to get all these games in before, school ends and stuff like that in, 4 or 5 weeks or something. So it's going to be quite the ride for them to make up all these makeup games, but you can definitely tell that they're going to be ready when the games start. I mean, we got a game today. I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday. We're going to release it on Wednesday. I got to work out. I don't know if you're working there, Brandon. Do you?
I will probably not be there. I'm not sure that I'll be there, but I will definitely be following online. So
yeah, so that one's going to be pretty solid. But regardless, like, it really sucks to see that, like, they get postponed because you kind of want to see them in action and get ready for some GLIAC stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, you just want them to be on the diamond again. That's really the biggest part, is we just haven't had some of those opportunities as of recent due to weather. And I mean, it kind of seems weird that it's been like abnormally amount of cancellations. Now we are in March. You take that with a grain of salt as far as weather goes, because, it was 70 degrees last week. And then over the weekend, it was in the 20s. Like, it just changes on a dime and you can't do anything about it, but just adjust, even though it is awful to do so. But I think that there's a lot you can take from the postponements, as far as, it sucks, but it gives us more time to prepare. And I think that's kind of what the mentality got to go into. I mean, you look at a situation of where this team is at, and right now, a little bit of a, I wouldn't say like a fork in the road, as far as it's kind of hard to tell where this team's going to go. But I think it's kind of, we've hit a barrier, and how are we going to get over it? And I think that we just want to get back in action so bad against teams that we know that we can compete against, especially with Wayne State. And then obviously we'll be playing Lewis. That'll be of tomorrow when this is released on Wednesday. But you have a lot of these games where you want to just bounce back and you want to get that opportunity to spring forward and win a couple of games. But I mean, when you just don't get on the field, it's kind of hard to do so. But a lot more time to prepare. That is a positive out of this. You can get in the cage more. You can let some pitchers' arms get all iced up and ready to go for the next week, and get a lot of players healthy. But that's kind of what you're at this moment. It sucks because you want to keep playing games. And obviously, we're going to have a lot of games coming up. Again, we're going to be playing Wayne State in the makeup games on Thursday. And then we're also going to have GV and Davenport. We'll be traveling to Caledonia and Allendale both Saturday and Sunday for 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock doubleheaders. So use the time. It's coming back. We'll be on the diamond soon. Just got to be patient.
Yeah, true. I'm excited for it, though, because I haven't really seen a women's softball game since, like, freshman year.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I mean, especially after COVID. I know I watched a couple games before that, and then it just, it's gone like that with the whole COVID canceling season throughout everything. But you still got a lot to look forward to with this team, a lot of young talent, a lot of veteran leaders that can bring the squad a lot of juice. And you look at where this team's at, and there's a lot to improve on this season, and there's a lot to get as far as going into this GLIAC season. Obviously, the GLIAC keeps slipping on us. That's fine. You can keep doing that, and you can laugh at the end. But there's a lot of time and a lot of good opponents on deck, and we just look forward to whenever that time will come when we can get back out there.
For sure. That's one thing that I am very much excited for is shock the world. Shock the GLIAC, baby. Shock
the world. But final Ferris State Sports report. Golf is going to be in action coming up here. They are going to be just driving back from a tournament down in, I think it was in Lexington, over the weekend. Good old Kentucky, probably pretty warm there, not going to lie, but a lot of good results. Obviously, we're still waiting the second round results here on Tuesday, but on Monday, a lot of good stuff. I mean, a 293 round score, that placed us, I believe, somewhere around the top 10 in the field. I believe tied for 7th is the official mark. Josh Jeffords had a really nice first round of a 70. With Thomas Hersey at 72, as well as Zach Corner 73, Shane Buffet 78, and Nathan Kranick at 78. We're in a good spot. really looking for that second round improvement like we showed last tournament, and that can get us all pretty far up on this course that seems to be laying out a little easier than the as far as scoring wise compared to last weekend, but still a lot of ground to make up. And I mean, we see a couple teams ahead of us and we know we got to go get, like Grand Valley and Wayne State. So now is the time to push and make a move.
And I mean, I saw Thomas at the tennis match against Michigan Tech last weekend, and I was kind of talking to him about like what they're pretty excited for to see from this tournament is, it's a good spread of not only GLIAC teams and kind of seeing how they're playing and stuff like that, but also just the regional teams that they might be seeing if they can make or when they can make the NCAA playoffs and stuff like that, to be able to see Missouri St. Louis, Ashland, who used to play at Hillsdale and stuff like that, Tiffin, who's really solid, and to be able to compete with all these teams is really solid to see. Especially you have those GLIAC teams that have been perennially good, like Grand Valley, who's kind of killing it right now. I mean, but they're a little bit more spread out with throughout their 1 through 5s. But you have teams like Hillsdale who, kind of trade spots list a little bit from the times we've seen them in other tournaments and stuff. And especially Wayne State, who's starting to come out of nowhere and play very, very well. I mean, their 1 through 5 can really switch up any place. I mean, they're only a 5-stroke difference between their top hitter on day one compared to the last one. So that's one thing to look forward to, is just how we bounce back on day 2. We tend to play a lot better, and that's what we're going to be looking for. Maybe we'll see some 60s come in. Who knows? But I think we're all going to stay sub 80, and that's the thing that you got to look forward to.
Yeah, the consistency is what makes a lot of these teams elite level, and especially from 1 through 5, I think is the biggest difference with a lot of these teams. Because you see a lot of these teams like ahead of us, they're not necessarily having guys like as far as 1 through 5, we're there with a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Wayne State, Tiffin, and like Hillsdale would be comparables of like, yeah, they're pretty close as far as scores wise, where the range is a lot smaller. And I think the only difference really is like Grand Valley, Missouri St. Louis, Ashland, the teams at the top, they just have that one player in the high 60s, getting a 67 or a 60. Yeah. That's the only difference, and that just comes with a good round.
Yeah,
and
there's only a 5-stroke difference between 5th place or from Hillsdale to us.
Yeah. It's small. It's literally small details. Every stroke counts, and especially when you're in a situation on the links where you're chasing, you're only 5 strokes off going in the final round. I mean, obviously, last round, moving day, you can make that charge up, pretty much on the chase card. So, and that's the nice thing too. Is like, I'm not sure exactly how I'm hoping like if it's similar to how PGA is played, where the teams at the lower are teeing off first, where you don't actually, what number you want to go get, but you don't have the pressure of like, oh yeah, we finally get there. Now we can just kind of coast our way through. It's like you're in constant attack mode for 18 holes, where if you're at the top necessarily, you can have those situations where you're like, okay, now we're up 5 strokes. Just play consistent, and you might fall asleep a little bit, and you can let some strokes go, and now 5 strokes becomes 2. And now it's like, now it's a little tense going into the back 9. So there's a lot of different scenarios there as far as pressure and stress going into these last couple rounds. So that basically being said, you never know what some of these teams might do. They might feel too comfortable, and there means no difference of, hey, if we're down 5 strokes, if we're down 10 strokes, if we're down 14 strokes, there's still a way that this can be won, and that just takes one good round, attack, aggressive, and make sure you're hitting square and pure, and you're going to be on your way. And that's something we look forward to coming up to preview on Thursday. So hopefully a nice move up and a nice finish overall for the men.
Yeah, hopefully they can start picking it up, and that's one thing I'm going to be looking forward to and be following, is our guys going to be able to get that regular second round comeback. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean the women as well, finishing up their round from Findlay as well last week. They finished off really well with a nice second round finish. So you're hopefully seeing some similar things with that as far as with the men are concerned, because I think both teams have a lot of potential. I mean, you look at what both teams did last year. All positive things, especially in the conference tournament. So looking forward to that. And I mean, we're going to have some good competition going to Ohio this upcoming weekend. I believe the men will be at the Cab Classic. The women will be at the NC4K Classic a couple miles away. So it'll be fun to see both of these teams in action once again. And I mean, really just keep competing hard in these regional tournaments.
Yeah, that's one thing super excited for is, especially not only that, but it just kind of reminds you, like, spring's around the corner. I kind of want to get to play golf.
Yeah, I do want to go play golf. I know they I saw they had opened up the bays a couple of days ago, and I was like, ooh, it sounds pretty nice right now just to be able to hit for once this year. But
Oh, the ones under it.
Yeah, yeah, they were practicing out there, and I saw some range balls out there when I was driving by this morning. I was like, man, I got to get my clubs out. It's been too long.
Dude, I'm going out of Florida for a golf internship. I gotta get my swing. I gotta get my swing picked up here.
You really got to get your swing packed up, brother. You'll have to send me some of the courses that you're playing. I'll try to beat your handicap.
Pictures. I'll put on the MVSP Instagram. I'll say this is where I'm at today.
That'd be kind of cool. There's some pretty nice courses down there too.
Fun fact: Charlie Woods plays on the tour that I'm working on. So
yeah,
maybe me and Tiger will become best friends.
Ooh, that would be kind of cool. A nice little collab. Maybe have him on the podcast.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Hey, the sky is the limit, man.
Exactly.
The sky is the limit. But one thing we will mention here, finishing out the Ferris State Sports Report, just on the docket to mark your calendars, the heart to heart, hand in hand Special Olympics basketball game is going to be around the corner, April 19th. Put that in our calendars. Me and Joe are going to be there. It is going to be electric. It is going to be absolutely fun. The Special Olympics teaming up with Ferris State basketball for a unified basketball game, and it's going to be probably just as fun as the regular games. There's a lot of stuff going on, rumors, dunk contests, three-point contests, half-court shots, all sorts of great stuff happening, and you can follow along with that with Sports Careers RSO social media, FSU Sports Careers on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more information, and I'm hopefully, knock on wood, that it'll be also released in the Ferris State communication channels as well to bring out everybody. So make sure you come on out. It's going to be super fun to support Special Olympics and having a great time in a great game. And really, it's going to be so fun. I know like we're working it, but basically from what me and Joe have been working with our groups talking about and how all the other guys helping make all these things come into true as far as the marketing, the ops, all this stuff. Like, this is going to be pretty fun. I mean, Rena was definitely a cool experience, but this could possibly be next level just based on the event by itself.
Yeah, it's such a great event, and it's such a good time to have with the Special Olympians and also just our men's and women's basketball team, and to kind of see that collaboration between everybody is just so cool, and it's something that I implore everybody to go to. It's such a fun experience. We haven't done it last year, but when we were able to get a glimpse of it our freshman year, it was such a cool thing to experience, and encourage everybody to come out. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, just tug at your heartstrings, come on out. It's going to be fun. Bring your friends. It's going to be an enjoyable experience. It's going to be just like another game. It's going, and even then some. Dude. Your boy might be on the DJ, and I think we're going to get some hype beats up in that game for sure.
Send some music Brandon's way, and we'll put it in the playlist.
Send me some music. Send us to the MVSP Alki looking for song requests, and hey, only thing, if you send a song, you got to be there to dance when I play it on. I mean, that goes both ways. So you guys know what to do. But that's going to be so fun to enjoy. And I mean, it's really going to be a fun event. We encourage you guys to come on out. But that's Ferris State Sports Report. When we come back, big things happening in Detroit, and the MV3 might be making an appearance. Stay tuned.
And as we return to the episode now, after our quick little break in, a little bit of a drink, making sure our throats are all nice and hydrated so that way we're not coughing. My bad, everybody, to kind of mess up your ears at all. Hopefully you're not wearing headphones. But over the weekend, Sweet 16 and Elite 8 action in the brackets. Some pretty solid stuff going on. Sadly, the Peacock is no more. St. Peter's is out of the running. But, we do get, Brandon, a Duke, North Carolina Final Four. First time ever they're meeting in the tournament championship, or in the Final Four at least. Or is it tournament in general?
Yeah, tournament in general.
That's crazy. How long that's been. You'd think that they would have met like one time before. But
you'd think, right?
It's a Cinderella story, man.
Crazy.
Coach K's final year. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win or not because North Carolina is still rolling, but.
Yeah, it all lines up, and I understand the people out there that are saying this is rigged. I get it. The storyline plays too perfectly, but I think there's a lot you can look forward to as far as, you look at where this season could have went for Coach K. It could have been, honestly, looking into the tournament, I know, myself included, said Texas Tech could have easily beat them. In that game. Easily could have beat them in that game for how well their defense was playing early on. But at the end of the day, that their playmakers really stepped up, especially in the second half, and made that huge run. So that was huge for them. And then going on to eventually beat Arkansas to get this to this point was absolutely huge. But, you saw a lot of great games. Obviously, everybody's favorite, the Peacock, ended up losing to North Carolina. That game, I know a lot of people when you kind of looked at the analysis of that game, St. Peter's had a better chance against teams like Purdue and better chances against teams like Murray State, where, I mean, especially with Purdue, you got two primary dominant scorers in Ivy. You could put Zach Edey in there as well in the post. But when you look at North Carolina, they got guys that can fill it across the entirety of their box score, and their guard play, they can all pretty much just fill it. I mean, Caleb Love had a huge night. Rondo Baycott can fill it up. I mean, RJ Davis had a sluggish night, and he was only 2 of 11, but guys like Brady Manick stepped up huge, and you have all these guys that you can pull up the bench and are just elite scorers, and that can keep the pace of the game going, because with Purdue, it was such a long run and then just a long thud, right? 5 minutes, they'd score 15 points. 5 minutes, they'd go scoreless. There was no in between. Yeah. And St. Peter's did great as far as being able to put pressure on them and tire them out with their full court press, which I think Coach Holloway did a great job of game planning that, because Purdue hadn't had to deal with a lot of that stuff throughout the year. But you look still at what North Carolina brought. I mean, their speed with their guard play, and I mean, just the versatility to score really outdid them in the end. But I mean, you got to give credit. I mean, Coach Holloway got his team to the Elite Eight for how you could say not powerful their team was, because frankly, they were 15.
They didn't have a lot of guys that really could match NC's kind of, I won't say energy, but kind of, I won't say like talent level. It was just kind of like out of the gate, like St. Peter's all throughout the tournament kind of like came out and was able to match the teams like in first half. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they were able to, push off and really play well in the second half to be able to get those wins, because they'd only be 2 points or so behind and they'd be able to win the second half. But this game, like, they came out really slow. I mean, almost double. North Carolina almost doubled their points in the first half, and they were able to pick it up in the second half like they do all tournament. But it was just that first half where they weren't able to get that punch in the mouth that the team wasn't expecting for. And I think that's one reason why you can kind of chalk it up for North Carolina getting to the Final Four rather than the Peacocks' historic run kind of coming to an end. But also, I mean, Doug Eder kind of didn't play very well. I mean, Clarence Rupert, who usually has almost 10 points, kind of had 2. So a lot of their starting 5 was starting to slow down a little bit. Only 2 guys in double digits. So it's not going to be easy to beat a team like North Carolina when you don't have at least 3 or 4 guys getting high into the double digits. But when North Carolina has 2 guys with almost 20 points and they're able to take over, it's kind of tough to beat that.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, you look at a lot of the games overall in general, there was a lot of like one team was on it and one team was not on it. And I mean, especially you can look at it just from the spreads of the scores, a lot of these games. I mean, you look at, the Sunday games in particular, Miami was no match for Kansas. And
no chance.
I'm giving Kansas mad respect, because regardless of how inconsistent they've been in years past, they're playing almost like the best team right now in this tournament for how well they've been able to do it both offensively and defensively, holding a Miami team to 50. And I mean, being able to get guys like Ochai Agbaji just filling it like aimlessly. And then you got Remy Martin, who's been adding a huge boost for them after being injured part of the season. So you have that ability to move away from teams. Because I mean, early on in that game, I was starting to grin a little bit of like, oh boy, here we go again. Miami's leading 35-29 at halftime, and then Kansas started playing basketball, and they started playing really good basketball.
Yeah, when you almost put 50 spot in a second and a half, that's
47-15.
Yeah, 50 spot and a half in the tournament is pretty crazy, and especially to hold them under 20 points, that's quite the turnaround. So you got to give Kansas props for that.
Yeah, Kansas is playing really well. And
32-6, holy crap.
Yeah, they're playing. They're getting it done, man. I mean, this kind of looks like almost what vice versa we saw from the first game in the Sweet 16 against Providence, where it was 26-17 at halftime. Kansas was winning, and then Providence was outscoring them with a 44-point half, but they still ended up getting the ability to hold on and win by 5. So you got to give credit to Bill Self's squad. They're doing really well, and I know I've slandered on how inconsistent they've been on the show, and I mean, I hope they prove me wrong. I really do, because it makes March Madness better when you got those good teams that can really play to the best of abilities and really show how great they aren't being a 1 seed, because they're the only 1 seed left. A lot of the other 1 seeds haven't proved up their best play in this tournament. Baylor, Arizona, Gonzaga all going home very early in this tournament. So, but you got to give a lot of credit to some of these teams. And I mean, we saw some great games, and I mean some great storylines as well. I mean, how many double-digit seeds did we see end up reaching the Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight? Was awesome. St. Peter's, Iowa State, Miami, Michigan was in there briefly, sadly, and then you got other teams also, like North Carolina's an 8 seed making the Final Four, which you always see every year. There's always an outlier, but at the end of the day, it's Blue Bloods battling it out, and as boring, I guess, is kind of the word that may come to mind.
This one doesn't seem like it's that boring.
No, I think it's hard. I think it's great.
Like, it's like Villanova, like Kansas usually isn't always in the Final Four. Like, they're usually the team that they're usually kind of like a Gonzaga that kind of gets kicked out around the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16,
even,
Elite Eight.
Even when they're the number one, Villanova is just a crazy good program. I mean, this is what their 6th Final Four appearance in the last like 10 years. I think I saw. I'm probably butchering that stat line, but they're a good program regardless. And then, I mean, Duke, North Carolina. I mean, that's one of the best rivalries in college basketball, I'd say, if not one of the, like, if not the best, I'd say, because those two teams are pretty deep rooted in hate for these past couple, for basically however long that their schools have been established for. But I don't know. I'm excited for it. It's going to be kicking off April 2. That's what, this Friday?
It'll be Saturday. Followed by
and then
Monday.
The Big Dog Monday.
Yeah.
National championship in New Orleans.
Everybody cancel classes, cancel your meetings, whatever classes.
What time is the game?
It'd be, I believe, I think it's at 9:20. So if you have any obligation, you shouldn't. You should be able to be obligated to watch basketball.
If you have a college class around that time, why would you put yourself through that? Because you're in charge of your schedule. I know some people that do. How do you schedule that?
It's a 5 to or 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock lab. I've heard some of them, and like maybe I think in the engineering department.
That's a crime,
isn't it?
That's a crime. Oh my
gosh, it's terrible. I've had night classes the majority of this semester, and I'll tell you what.
Well, freshman year we had that one. We had that one, like, what, 5 to 8 or like 6 to 9:30 or something class, was it?
Right.
Or you were in that one?
I was not in that.
Dude, that was rough.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to
fall asleep so many times, dude. I was gone for 3 hours in the same classroom with a 5-minute break at the 1.5 hour mark. You kidding me?
Yeah. Brutal.
And she didn't allow computers either, so I couldn't even watch YouTube during class.
Oh, that's annoying. 'Cause sometimes, like, I understand, like, the point of paying attention throughout a lot of these classes, and I certainly try my best to do so, but after, like,
there's sometimes where you just want to toss a quick YouTube video.
30 to 40 minutes in where you're just like, all right, I need to look at something else, because, like, I'm starting to just get brain dead. Like, I'm starting to just stare into space, see a blank page. Like, I just need to, like, get out, or I'll go to the bathroom, or I'll go get a drink of water or something, and then that usually helps. But, like, if you got like a 3-hour class without breaks, I don't know, dude, that'd be so tough.
Yeah, dude, that's why I could never be like a STEM major or anything like that. It's a good thing we're comm majors.
Comm majors,
baby. They say it's easy. It is an easy major. It is an easy major.
It is pretty easy, but this is what I tell people with comm, and especially for us sports comm. We, class-wise, have a lighter load than a lot of the other majors.
But the extracurriculars we need to do is a lot more.
Way higher.
We need to gain, like, experience and stuff.
Yeah, because it's so easy. It's literally too easy. Like, because you're competing with all these people that are like, yeah, comm degrees, like, we skirted through. So I had time to do 2 opportunities. Like, fine, well, I got to do 3 now. No, you got to do 4. You got to set your stage. Now you're like, you got 4 clubs going on. You're a part of all these different things.
I mean, you're an athletics intern, a whole bunch of stuff, but
yeah, and so you kind of fill that time and you fill that difficulty with a bunch of other things, and that's usually what kind of gets us into that college level of credit and work, compared to, like, because some people, I can understand the argument of communication's an easy degree. I totally get that, and some people their analysis of that is not far off. But what I'm saying is there's a lot more opportunity for other stuff to be done, which a lot of people do, and that's why some people are kind of when you hear people complain of, oh man, it's like, oh man, I got so much stuff going on. It's what? You're a comm major. Come on. I'm in hygiene or I'm in STEM or whatever. And you're like, whoa.
Don't try to
Hold your roll.
invalidate my experience
Hold
just
your
because
roll.
you're doing
I'm
a
doing
different
more
thing.
stuff than you know about. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. And that's
Put some
all we're saying about
respect
it.
on comm major's name. That's all we gotta say.
Yeah. Shout out to all the sports comms that listen to this episode and all of our and follow along because we
understand the grind.
Oh yeah. There's
Also, shout out to our buddy Travis.
yeah. Look
Accepted
at
a
that.
position at Fox 17 News for May. So
Yeah.
really great for him.
For
Love to see
first
for him.
position.
First position right now at college.
Slam dunk.
Travis is going to do a great job. Also, listen to Knockout if you haven't. He's part of that group over there. So that's
Yes.
awesome to see.
Great plug.
Should we hop on over to the women's bracket for a little bit?
Yeah, we can. And I mean, really, a lot of people aren't following along with the women's bracket. That's fine. I mean, you certainly can choose what you want to see and what you don't want to see. But I mean,
set up this Final Four is crazy. Do you see these games?
yeah, it's a pretty wild one, and you got a lot of these good games. I know I was following along with Michigan, obviously making it so close to the Final Four,
So
and up
close.
running into the torch of Louisville what was it? Would have been Monday with a loss there, or no, it was yesterday. Yeah. Then they won on Monday against South Dakota, but dogfight of a game, end up losing late. But I mean, you see a lot of these good games, and I mean, there was one especially last night. Paige Beckers and UConn. I mean, what was it? 2-3 overtimes against NC State, 91-87.
Yeah,
That's
NC
more
State,
scoring than we saw in a lot of the men's games so
dude,
far
yeah.
this year.
NC State picked it up, dude. Like that was a crazy one. They were able to get that last second three to send it to the first overtime, and then what? Paige Beckers kind of took over second overtime, and then they went 3. You said.
Yeah, I
remember seeing like the highlights of it, but it kind of bounced back and forth between the games, so I didn't really get a full like kind of timeline of what took for it. But dude,
yeah. And I really enjoyed seeing like a lot of those highlights of it, and I like that they're
2
getting the
overtimes.
attention for it. It was 2 overtimes, okay. And I mean NC State's been in dogfight of games. I mean, even the Sweet 16 against Notre Dame was 66-63 against the 5-seeded Fighting Irish. So you look a lot at those games, and you're like, man, there's a lot of tough teams overall in this bracket. I mean, we're gonna see now. Stanford, Connecticut, Louisville, and South Carolina, which is kind of like what you more anticipate for March Madness altogether. Of like, there's going to be a big chunk of the 1s and the 2 seeds, and then you're going to probably see a couple, maybe 4 or 5 seeds sprinkled in there, maybe a lower seed having a magical run, where I think that kind of goes naturally. I think with the women, that does kind of naturally go just because a lot of these greater teams separate themselves so much compared to some of the field, where the men, it's almost kind of like there's such a small margin. It's really who can play the best and make that streak. Because I mean, we've seen so many. I mean, we've not seen North Carolina make it, and they're just an 8 seed.
yeah, that's true. That's crazy, man.
It's really all about playing at the best time, where I feel like a lot of the women's games, not saying that's not true, because I mean, we saw a lot of, there's 4 or 5 double-digit seeds that made it to the round of 32, and then
there's
like
some pretty solid upsets.
yeah,
but
Creighton and South Dakota end up pulling off upsets. So
that is one thing that I've noticed. It's more, not to like knock it, but you see a lot more chalk outcomes on the women's side. But then once it gets to like the Elite Eight, then you kind of see more of the exciting games and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. And also like the fact of it's getting more attention, especially with the NIL stuff going on now in this time where now we're seeing all of these women's basketball players like that. You're using their name, image, and likeness and making bank. They're really having a great time. I mean, you see Paige Beckers and Haley Van Lith, the 2 highest college basketball players as far as NIL earnings, both across men's and women's, now are going to be playing in the Final Four and potentially in a national championship game against each other. And I mean, that's just crazy to see now at that time what the even possibilities would be across those. Joe, you have a shocked look on your face right now.
Oh, she's making $1 million a year off that Gatorade deal for Paige? Holy crap.
Yeah. Big
bro,
bucks.
you don't even gotta go
Big bucks.
and StockX, bro. What the heck?
Yeah, StockX, Gatorade. And that's just
Bro, I should have
Paige's.
tried harder in high school. Holy crap. Are you kidding me? If I was making whoa.
Yeah, isn't that insane? And
That's ridiculous.
That's just making the women's tournament better, honestly, in my mind, because I think it makes all this. Because I mean, you even look on the men's side, like Paolo Banchero's around, I think the 10K mark as far as official earnings or whatever. And obviously, there's different numbers based on what the NCAA is kind of considering in that scenario of countable and what isn't necessarily public countable. Because I mean, there's no question that some of these athletes are making more money than as far as the NCAA has official figures about, right? Because I mean, obviously you can have small term deals and that sort of stuff. But anyway, isn't that just incredible now that we have some of these athletes that are making money for doing advertising? For
I'm interested to
doing
see
all this stuff.
I'm interested to see in the next couple years, like what goes on, like what, because like Congress is like sitting on this and kind of like trying to figure it out, because there's going to be a lot of rules and regulations set in place fairly soon, I'd say, that are going to be setting a lot of like, you can't do this, because right now it's basically the Wild West. Like you're just tossing anything and like you can toss whatever you want. I mean, Doug Eder right away gets a deal with Buffalo Wild Wings after the first round or whatever. And, he's making crazy amount. Now he's got 130,000 followers at least and the blue check next to his name. So, he's going to be, signing those NIL deals and making money. And that's the one thing about March Madness that we've seen. And it's a lot more for any other sport, I think, because we didn't really see this in NCAA. We didn't really see this in the football championships. We rarely ever see this in baseball, but especially for these lower teams that are having these guys like take off for, like St. Peter's. And then I forget the North Carolina player who's got the red hair, looks like Bill Walton back in the day.
Yeah, I can't remember
his name, but like
I know
he's starting to pop off and he's starting to gain a lot more popularity. And I think especially seeing with March Madness is like a lot of these players who are really popping off and getting hot at the right time, their lives are going to get changed pretty soon because of a lot of these NIL deals that are going to be coming their way.
Yeah, and there's so many athletes have gotten deals too that nobody knows about really. Like, did you know Hunter Dickinson and Naz Hillman were both sponsored by Outback Steakhouse? Like, some people didn't even know that, right?
Bro, if I was an athlete, I'd want one sponsor. You want to know what it would be? Who? You want to know who it would be? It would be Taco Bell.
Oh,
if you get sponsored by Taco Bell, could just go there every day and just be like, yo, hit me up with a quick. If I was an athlete sponsored by Taco Bell, I would use something to get the quesarito back. I swear. Bring back the quesarito, please.
Free quesarito. But yeah, I mean, you look at there's even like a website, I believe it's called nilcollegeathletes.com. You can look at all the athletes that are signing like endorsement deals or whatever, the top athletes, the top sponsors or whatever. Like Barstool Sports has done, according to this site, like 7,000 deals. And obviously with that Barstool athlete that we talked with Brooke Norder about on our show a couple months back too, of how much perception that comes in as far as what athletes are actually getting out of that compared to just, because they're making all this money and they're being represented by a company. How much are they actually doing and how much are they actually getting paid back can be speculative just based on general guesses or if they actually release it. But I mean, obviously like Paige Beckers did that with our StockX deal. And I think that's just huge you see all these athletes now making pretty much a business of themselves in a way that nobody else has done before.
This guy's sponsored by Pennzoil?
Yeah.
Dude, free oil changes?
Trace Jackson Davis?
Bro, yeah, dude. You know how much money you could save just by not having to get oil changes? Holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And a lot of these players are doing social media stuff. They're doing cameos. They're going out to an event to whoever their sponsor is.
Steakhouse is going
making an
crazy
appearance.
with the sponsorships, dude. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's just an insane time, and it really is kind of crazy to see all this come together in college athletics. You got Outback Steakhouse getting deals together. You got Pennzoil. You got Gatorade making deals together. You got
some of these sponsored by Gatorade.
There's like I think a couple gaming companies too that are doing it, kind of following that phase kind of that phase process, that started like as kind of rumors a while back of like getting guys like Bronny to come on and be part of the phase clan and online gaming and stuff. But it's just wild now that you're seeing a lot of these athletes and they're starting to get deals based off of.
Adidas too is starting to sponsor like every athlete that's a part of an Adidas school.
Yeah, that is true. And it's just getting bigger and bigger. And that's just what's crazy about this whole thing is it's just going to keep on skyrocketing and I would have to assume that Congress is going to make some sort of we're going to see a ceiling because they can't let it get out of control. Because I know we already saw, there's rumors now of a high school kid. I can't remember if he's in California or if he's down there, Alabama or something. That's going to be, I think just going to become a freshman in high school. And to get some sort of an $8 million NIL deal by the time he gets to college.
Jeez, dude.
The guy's not even in high school yet. And he's going to be making...
That's insane.
7 figures.
That's ridiculous.
Times 8. That's insane. And now it just seems like there's going to be a time where this is going to be regulated. But I mean, even if it's regulated, I mean, you're still being able to use some of that money and off of yourself, and you're being able to profit off of your image and likeness. And that's what it's all about. And I think that's what's really cool about this whole scenario of like, even especially now, technically schools obviously can't endorse making a deal for their athletes, but obviously they're in the like, hey, I mean, we'd love to have our athletes getting supported by some companies and whatever. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more of like what Adidas did. You have to imagine Nike and Under Armour are going to try to follow suit, or Puma or whoever the school is sponsored by. They're going to have to try to match that if they want to be able to compete. And I mean, that's going to be involved trying to tug at the schools a little bit. Now we might see endorsement shakeups. So it's going to be fun. And I think this is just a wild time to be a college athlete and just being able to follow along. Going to be a wild ride that's going to continue on for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. That's like the crazy thing. Also, shout out to Northwest Missouri State for winning the men's D2 national championship.
Yeah, 3 out of their last 4.
That's an insane athletic school. I think that's like the other school, other than like, I mean, because Ferris really hasn't done too much with like national championship recognition. But like Northwest Missouri State is like ridiculous with athletes.
That is true. Minnesota State is also, I would believe, in that conversation as well.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, because they won the women's track, right?
They won women's track. They could win hockey. Never know.
Yeah, they got a chance.
Yeah.
Their football team is all right.
Their football team's solid. I know we played them. Ferris played them like 2 or 3 years ago in the playoffs and like the semis or whatever.
I think, yeah, and then they were in the national championship that year that we got knocked out by West Florida.
Yep. So
still frustrated about that. We would have won that national championship game.
Back to back.
We would have gone back to back.
Yeah, but you know what? This will be the year we go back to back.
Oh, yeah, so for sure.
We're going to be looking forward to that. But speaking of football, moving on over really quick, we got an MB3 of the best football jerseys coming in this upcoming season. Unfortunately, Detroit is not going to be on this list, according to news from Redwood, that the team is not going to have new uniforms this upcoming season. Sad face. But there's a legitimate inquiry about using the alternative new helmet rule to be able to make and custom new uniforms coming up.
You know how many
for the next season
jerseys we're going to get with that custom helmet?
Yeah.
You think we can get all white Bengals?
Oh.
Dude, that would be nasty.
That would be absolutely nasty. But good news on Detroit. I mean, huge news of yesterday. Both announcements of the Lions are going to be the face of the team of HBO's Hard Knocks series coming up from August to September. I'm going to be getting a 30-day free trial of HBO Max so I can watch Dan Campbell talking about biting kneecaps and getting his double venti coffee again, because those are golden moments that everybody needs to cherish on television. And also that 2024 NFL Draft, let's make it in Detroit. That is going to actually happen. I'm going to try to buy tickets now, even though it's probably going to be borderline illegal. I'm going to try to find a way to secure my spot to go to the Motor City 2 years from now in a month and be down there for this event. And I think a lot of people are slandering it because it's Detroit. People don't realize how much Detroit cares about football.
And Detroit has gotten a lot nice, especially like that district Detroit that they're building a little bit right there in between, what is it? In between Little Caesars and like, I literally can't think right now. Little Caesars, Ford Field, and Comerica Park. Like that little like block area where they're kind of building stuff at, where they're going to be making like restaurants and shops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand. It's going to be a sick place.
It is going to be sick. And I'm wondering where they're going to do it. I'm assuming that they're going to probably...
I'm guessing Ford Field.
I think it's got to be in that scenario, but I think there's a lot you can do. I mean, because Detroit's pretty wide open as far as
that
options.
Theater, don't you? What theater's down there? There's like a big like show hall down there.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably even do it in Ford Field too if they wanted to. I don't think it'd be
if you set up a stage and everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as cool, but I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I'd love for them to do it downtown. You'd have the bucket drummers drumming all the way around. I think that'd be pretty sweet. I think people just need to realize, hey, Detroit cares about football. It's not just a dump that everybody talks about. Stop that nonsense. It's not. There's a lot worse cities in condition. Because I think some people, when they refer to Detroit
Cleveland.
Yeah, we just went to Cleveland and nobody said anything. Oh,
like
it was
Columbus.
Fantastic. It's like, well, he said it was a dump hole 2 months ago.
Like
before this draft happened.
Ohio is garbage.
Yeah. You're just going to keep going down the list.
I'm just going to go down all Ohio cities I can name.
Oh, gosh. We might be here all day. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Detroit has definitely its crinkles. It definitely has its burnt edges of the picture. But it's still an awesome city and a
Yeah.
respected fan base that is devoted.
It has gotten a lot nicer. Like I remember when I was little and like we would go to like Detroit games and stuff, like you would have to stay on like one street, or else if you go off that street, like there's a good chance you get mugged or like that, you know, like there was like, you could literally, you had to be in like the main area of Detroit or else it would just be a bad spot to be in. But now it's like, you can kind of walk around a little bit. You can kind of be around stuff more without kind of, you know, getting worried that like you're going to run into some bad spots or whatever. But like Detroit's starting to come around a little bit. And I think people are starting to recognize that, especially with Detroit getting this bid. And I think when it comes to the draft coming there and a lot of people finally realize it and a lot of people are there, then I think we're going to get the recognition that the city deserves.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun, and I'm excited to watch the show and being able to hopefully be at the draft. I'm going to have to like mark my calendar for a month and 2 years from now, but I'm going to try to make it down there. Maybe we'll have an MVSP live stream. Maybe I can get Joe to come back for wherever he's venturing at that moment of time, as well as myself, and we can get back together. But I'm certainly going to be looking to go there. But finishing out the show, we're bringing the MB3 back. Haven't done it in a while, and we wanted to bring it back. In this case, the NFL jersey controversies have been, well, I shouldn't say controversies, inquiries, yes, with the new helmet rule have definitely been springing up. So we figured, hey, we're going to do our top 3 jersey combos from this the current NFL season.
Because the throwbacks are going to be good.
Yeah, so
do you want to do top 3 throwbacks for NFL or top 3 just jersey combos of all time?
Are we doing the top? So I think we do current as far as where teams sit at right now with their current combos that they've used last year. Are we doing one single uniform or are we doing the whole set?
I say we should do, you want to do 2 MV3s where we do the best throwback set and then the best just set from last year?
Okay, I can dig that. So we'll do that then. So we'll start off with we'll
start with the regular set.
Regular sets. Okay, so we're looking at both home and away that have been worn by teams as of last season. Okay, so and that's kind of tough because I think there's a lot of good ones that some people would just kind of be like, yeah, that's boring because they're the classics. But we'll see where this goes. So who starts? Flip a coin.
I'll go first. I'll go first. I have taken the coin and given it to myself.
All right.
This is a controversial one, but I think number 3 has got to go to the Titans. That kind of combo, especially for their home and away with like that baby blue and that navy blue with the white and a little bit of that black. Dude, it is so clean, especially when you get those kind of alternates of the baby blue, kind of like that baby blue top and that navy blue bottom. When you see that on the field, it's such a clean combo, especially with their helmets, kind of like that like alternate stripe that they got going down the middle. That one's pretty solid, but what's yours, Brandon?
So you got the Titans at number 3.
I got the Titans at number 3.
Are we doing pick it, steal it, or are we doing just pick it?
Pick it, steal it.
Pick it and steal it. Oh, that's tough because now you see it's like, yeah, I want that one definitely in my top, but I also don't know if I want to put that one there. My third pick overall for regular set, I'm going to go with the classic. I'm going to take the Niners with the red and gold. I think that's a sick combo. It's classic. It's clean. It gets the job done. And I mean, even flipping over to the white, it looks just as clean. We might mention them again, obviously, with the throwbacks coming up. I'll be interested to see who steals that one. But really clean, classical, holds the history. There's really no way you can change it. Just works. It's beautiful. And it fits the San Fran Gold Rush like a charm. Beautiful.
For sure.
San Fran, number 3 for me.
For sure. I think my number 2 has got to be the Bills with the red, white, and blue. Each way they have it, their main, their away, and their color rush is just so clean, especially the white jerseys when you kind of got that set up. Their helmets are really clean and a good setup for that. Especially their color rush are so good. I mean, they really don't miss for a lot of their spots. I mean, I think like NFL or like some fan places have them kind of in the middle, but number 2 is where I got them 100%.
All right, that's it. I like that one. That's a good one. I feel like some people don't look at like the
Sleep
Bills,
on a little bit.
the Patriots, because they're so historical, or even like the Packers, for example. Like those are really nice uniforms. They're just so old and dated, you know. It just kind of, you don't look at that necessarily. But I mean, there's a lot of great combos from that. If I had to pick one here, number 2. I go to the AFC North. I'm going to take the Ravens. I really like the combos that they have, especially with the purple pants, the white tops, and then you can obviously throw in the purple and the white, and then obviously the black color rush looks very, very sweet. And I think with the fit of the helmet and the black helmet looks pretty sweet. I really like those uniforms, probably more than some other people do, because it's a weird, interesting conversation and combinations that they have. But I think that overall, that versatility, the unique color selection, I think it's pretty beautiful. And I'm just glad that they don't go all out like Maryland does and try the whole state flag helmet, because that would make it look awful. I'll say that for sure. But they have the little patch there. It's subtle,
kind of sick,
and it works, and you still have the same representation. So I think these uniforms are clean, and they also have even the hand warmers for Lamar Jackson within the jersey. So I'll give credit to the Stitchers for that just alone, and they can make number 2 on my list.
That's a pretty tough one, because I was kind of thinking about putting them on my list as well. But number 1, I think everybody knows this one. It's got to be the Chargers.
I knew it.
That powder blue and the white and the yellow is just such a clean combo.
It is.
Especially looking at that helmet. Dude, it is so nice. And, normally I don't like the numbers on the helmet, but the way that they did it is just a little bit more pleasing. And I think just the way they're a little bit more subtle with kind of the Charger on the helmet. It's not as big as it used to be. They made it a little bit smaller, but all around, just their color rush, their home and away, so clean. And I don't think anybody really tops them.
Yeah, I think that's one that's probably the fan favorite for sure, and I think for good reason. They definitely have some sweet unis all around. Number 1 on my list, I'll give homage to my grandfather for this one, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the gold,
they have a pretty solid,
the black, the classic helmet, and it's just such a brightening uniform. Like, I think there's so much they can obviously even do more on top of that. And the iconic part of it, the colors of having the different nameplate with the different number, I think is really unique. And I mean, just that whole combination, and especially like, I know I'm kind of I consider it more in a historical reference too of, obviously the yellow and the black representing the city as far as the steel, as far as the grit. And I think that just really fits it well. And I think there's really no other way they can better it. I'd be interested to see though if they wanted to even go somewhere towards like an all maize or all yellow combo, kind of like Michigan does. I don't know if it looked the same, but if they ended up figuring that out and then critique it,
that could look cool. Like
it might look pretty sweet. So there's even unlimited possibilities, but respect the classic. I really love these jerseys. I wanted one growing up because they were just really cool. So that's my number 1.
Respect.
So now flipping over to throwbacks. Throwback right?
Stuff. You can go first this time since I went first last time.
Oh, that's tough. Because I want to. Do we have to pick a different team? Because
I say we can go same with these, because there are some that like are just fan favorites all around.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like I'd be in the scenario of like, it's pretty easy for me to pick the Niners again, because those ones are just so cool. But I think there's quite a few of them that I would say like are pretty cool. I think honestly one that I really like that some people I would understand don't think of it as cool. I really like the all black Falcons. I really liked that combo, the Mike Vick combo. I think it was super cool, and I think with that classic helmet, the black top, the white pants, I think looks really cool. And I think a lot of people kind of let that one go, and I think that they've kept them around so long. I think definitely shows like the fact that they're that cool. So I'm gonna take the Falcons at that number 3 spot, and I'll see interested to see where you go here.
Yeah, that one is sick, and that kind of red helmet. If they decide to go back to that would be like really cool. I think that'll be pretty solid choice. Mine is gonna be the the Titans old, or was it the Titans or Texans? Houston Oilers.
Yeah,
when they went their
Houston
old
Oilers.
throwback. If they decide to go with that one's gonna be sick, because they have honestly one of the cool ones. It's kind of like the Buffalo Bills, but it's got like that powder blue instead of that kind of royal blue look to it.
That.
So those, especially with a modern look to it, that they'll add if they decide to do a throwback uni, or kind of what they decide to do with those alternate helmets, be a pretty sick look.
Yeah, I think those ones are really cool too. And I think a lot of people kind of sleep on them because obviously, the Houston Oilers don't really, or the Houston Texans, I should say, don't really use the same Houston Oilers stuff as they used to. If we're going with ones that are we doing hypotheticals or are we doing actuals, ones that they've worn?
Actually have worn.
Okay.
And ones that like we're looking forward to.
Yeah, because
hopefully that they implement for the season.
Because then you could be like, ooh, then could I pick the creamsicles or anything like that? Because that would be one I would consider.
Creamsicles, man.
The creamsicles are pretty nice, though. I think one that I would pick as well, that has been worn on, I think that you pointed out on one of our shows, Joe, the Miami Dolphins with the dolphin logo and with the helmet on.
The helmet?
I like the all
Dude,
white.
I like that one so much.
The subtleness on the numbers is what gets me, like they obviously have that teal green where it's the number, and then they have the orange outline, and then just the subtle black to it that brings out the extra texture, I think is really sweet. And I know like they just kind of redeveloped that aqua jersey as well, or I should say the white with aqua with the helmet too. So I think that that's one that they definitely kept around and they will keep continuing to have around. And I think that's one that I think is really cool. And I think a lot of people don't look at it because it's not flamboyant, it's not flashy, like it's an all white combo, but it is very, very clean. And I think there's a reason that it's kept around because everybody likes it and it's clean. So that's my number 2.
My number 2, I think a lot of people can agree with me, is Pat the Patriot. It's the old throwback of the Minutemen hiking the ball for the Patriots. That one, me and my dad actually really liked that one as well. So that one is probably like, I think, other than the one I'm going to say for number 1, which I think you're also going to say for number 1, Brandon. But like this one is just so clean, like all white. Even if they do their away where it's like the red top and the white bottom, it just looks like what a Patriot would look like. I think what they could do is maybe make it like a blue top or something like that. Because I mean, if they do a red top, it kind of looks like a red coat, and red coats are British and they're not like the same. But I'm excited to see like what they do kind of with like that modern twist. Because I guarantee, especially with a lot of these teams who might be doing that throwback uniform and stuff for like if they choose to unis.
Yeah, I think those ones definitely will make an appearance again, and I think it's already been a rumor, right, that they are already talking about bringing it back with the white.
It's such a fan. I think they'd make so much money too off those jerseys if they bring those back.
And I know I think the most what was it? The most notable game in those uniforms was well, that wasn't the Tuck Rule game though, was it? Where they had that uniform? I don't think it was, but
I don't think it was. But I remember. I mean, Randy Moss was on the Patriots when that happened.
Right. So I think there was definitely some different ones, but my number 1. This is torn because I really want to pick a different team, but I think it's just so hard not to. I'm going to have to go with the Niners in their throwback.
That's not who I thought you were going to go with.
No, you weren't? Okay,
No.
you know what would be my number 1, though, if we actually would wear it, right?
Yeah.
Midnight Blues. Or Midnight
For
Detroit.
Detroit?
That would probably
That's
be my
pretty
number
solid.
1 if
I
I
wasn't
did
going
that.
to say that one either. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know you as well as I thought I was going to say. But
I think I can't get away from that. I'm looking at all of them here, and I'm like, I can't get away from that one, and it's just too good, and I think it's really hard to go away from it. I don't want to pick 2 in the same one, but I'm kind of forcing myself to do so. But I think it's a great uniform. I think it's so clean, and I think the striping and the piping and even the numbers. I mean, I can honestly see why I picked that one in comparison with Miami's too. It has the same similar kind of number
it's got
pattern,
like that black kind of outline,
that little contour. But I think it's just such a clean uniform. And I think it's just so commemorative. Like, I think that one...
Yeah.
Like
I think the simple is better,
Yeah, I think that the simplicity of it just makes it that good. And the fact that they're wearing that even the white combo too looks just as good. And that might be why I'm a little bit more biased to that one, because both of the throwback ones look really sick. But that's my pick for the number 1, even though I want to pick a different one. Like I wanted to pick the Lions. I was considering maybe even going back all the way to the throwback Rams. But I'm curious now, because I thought I was on the same page with you that San Fran was number 1, but you're almost telling me it's not, Joe. So then what makes your number 1?
I think it's got to be the creamsicles from the Buccaneers. Bucko Bruce. Dude, those are so nasty. Like they're honestly one of the cleanest color combos I think in all of the NFL, especially the throwbacks. I'm not a huge fan of like their new colors with like, the red and stuff like that, but when they go back to those, especially just the drip that you see on the field of the players when they're wearing those,
drip.
It is so clean. And when you look back at it, like that is such a cool logo with the Buccaneer with a knife in his mouth. Like I do like their new one where it's got like the flag and like you see the whole uniform put together as the cream jersey, the white helmet, the cream face mask. Like, it just looks so cool. And like, that's one of the things I'm so excited for, because coming 2023, baby, you got to be ready for it.
You got to be ready for it. The uniforms are coming back, and they're coming back with a vengeance. And though that's going to be super fun. But there's a lot of good ones out there. I mean, we even mentioned some of them that we were put on the honorable mentions list as well. Honestly, I'd consider the Raiders have one of the better jerseys with the black and silver, but I don't know if that's classified as a throwback jersey they wear full time or a classic jersey that is not. It wouldn't necessarily be a throwback, right? Because they kind of mix together. So, yeah. But there's a lot of good uniforms out there, and I think it'll be interesting now with the new helmet rule, how much more expansive we'll get, especially when you got teams that are being really innovative with colors and innovative with schemes like the Chargers have. When you can honestly say with the historical background and addition of like what Tampa Bay's done, going back to the older style and kind of readjusting those to make them in a more modern twist. But gonna be interesting to see what teams change up, and hopefully we get a Lions jersey change coming up in 2023. Bring the Midnight Blacks back, please.
Dude, those would be sick.
Do it for Dan.
Dude,
Do it for Dan.
The Midnight Blacks with the silver helmets. Like, people don't like the silver helmets, but I like the silver helmets. I think those are pretty clean.
I can see like some people are like, yeah, I want like black or I want blue or something just to change it up.
I don't think you can change from the silver one though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so iconic, and I think the silver helmets are staying because we're gonna wear the throwbacks on Thanksgiving every year for not now till how long. So, yeah. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see where this ends up going. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this little delayed episode. We appreciate your view, and don't forget to subscribe and like on whatever podcast platform you are on. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. We're posting our best bits and live shows as well on there. You can check out all of those videos as well as some of our summer ones we did back if you want some of the COVID content, I guess you could say. But of course, you got to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the MVSP. Don't forget to drop a follow for me and Joe as well. We can interact as well for all things show related. But Joe, another good show, my friend.
Oh, for sure. And as always, take care, everybody.